What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your one-stop spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. And on today's episode, we'll be breaking down the Bulls' win last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Zach LaVine's return game, a big game from Io. We're talking about all that and some more right after this. All right, so first off, right, I guess what we're going to title this one is a win is a win, right? The Bulls, who had a 28-point lead in the third quarter, ended up only winning this game by one. And we saw almost everything that we usually see from the Bulls. We saw the very best of the good Chicago Bulls, and we saw the very worst of the bad Chicago Bulls. Now, one thing that I do want to point out, even though the lead had went down from 28 to 13 by the time Zach LaVine left in the game, the OKC Thunder did go on a big run after Zach and Tyler Cook both went out with eye injury. So, I mean, that plays a part into it. But the energy and everything that this team played with the returns of Zach LaVine and Javonte Green was great, especially in 3 quarters of basketball. That fourth quarter, though, it got a little ugly there, it got a little tight, and it got a little nerve-wracking, especially if you're somebody who really loves this team. But overall, the Bulls were able to pull it out. We had huge games from both Vooch, Zach LaVine, and also Ayo Dosunmu. Solid contributions from Tyler Cook and a few others as well. This is one of those games where you look at the box score, and you would think the Bulls did pretty good. We had pretty solid bench scoring as well, but this game should not have been that close. It just shouldn't have been. The Bulls have an issue with holding on to big leads, and this is something that we've seen from this team over the course of the full season. They usually give up big leads, not completely, right? But they make it a little tighter than what it should be, considering some of the leads that they have going into some of these games. Now, I want to point that out because if it becomes a trend, well, it has been a trend, something that we've seen with the Bulls for the course of the whole season, it could get ugly in the playoffs, and that's why I do want to talk about it. I don't want to just talk about the fact that we won. I don't want to just talk about the good, because we need to acknowledge that there is something going on with this team with being able to hold leads. Now, a lot of that will hopefully fix itself with improved bench scoring. Coby White, again, had a bad game. He came off the bench today. He was 3 for 14, only had 9 points, but he did have 7 assists, 1 block, 3 turnovers from Coby White. But, hopefully with Coby getting back in his groove, when that does happen, because I trust that it's going to happen, it helps some of this. But, it is concerning. And like I said, especially because I like to look at this team through a playoff lens. I like to look at what can happen in a playoff series and how trends that develop like this could hurt the Bulls in the playoffs. So that's why I want to point it out. The Bulls, talked about a couple videos ago, even in the Bulls losing stretch, they gave up long runs, like dramatically long runs. And so the Bulls need to figure out what's going on there. Yes, we're missing key defenders in Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball. We got Javonte Green back. We're still missing Derrick Jones Jr. as well. But this team needs to figure it out as far as that. And in Billy Donovan, I trust to a degree. Not as much as I trust the front office, but I still do trust Billy Donovan. They need to figure it out. Now, this was the first game back for Zach LaVine and Javonte Green, but the energy that this team felt with their return was evident, and especially Javonte Green. One thing about Javonte, he's not the on-the-ball defender like Alonzo and Caruso is, but he's an activity defender. I'm not saying he's bad on the ball or anything like that, because he's not. I just mean he's not the lockdown style defender that they are, but his energy was felt in playing in the pass lane, getting the Bulls extra possessions. All those things are key and important to a team when you have a player who plays with that type of energy. Tyler Cook, again, another game from Tyler Cook. He did only play 8 minutes because of an eye injury, but I liked his activity, right? And I like seeing the activity from him. Tony Bradley had a big block on SGA at one point. He only played 2 minutes, though. Alfonso McKinney, that motherfucker, 4 fouls in like his first 8 minutes. He ended up the game with 11 minutes, 1 for 2. Malcolm Hill, 17 minutes in this game. I continue to like what I see from Malcolm Hill. Malcolm Hill's not, at least from what I've seen so far, it doesn't project to be an offensive player. He can hit open shots, but his activity on defense is really, really good. And when you look at like when everybody comes back, him being an end of the bench player that you're only going to call on for very select minutes, if he can bring that energy, I really like what Malcolm Hill can bring. And I know he's an older rookie, and I still want to see what else he can give, but I think he may end up in the G League when everyone's back healthy, and see what the Bulls can develop from him from there. But overall, I liked his energy and effort there as well. Now, the whole team completely, I don't want to call it a collapse, really, because it was, but it wasn't. But these combination of allowing the teams to go on runs and an inability to score themselves it really can hurt the Bulls in the playoffs. But I've talked about that enough. This game, Ayo Dosunmu, who started the game, I think he hit his first 9 shots overall before he missed, but he ended with 10 for 14, 4 for 6 from 3-point line, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 block, 3 turnovers from him. He did foul out of the game. It would have been nice to have his energy there towards the end of the game. He did foul out, but 24 points from Ayo Dosunmu, who is really, he was like DeMar DeRozan light out there, scoring very much in the mid-range. And he gave the Bulls what they need. And I said that Ayo was going to work himself back into rhythm, especially when you look at like having a scorer like Zach LaVine back, and the fact that we got good Vooch this game, who was our leading scorer with 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 assists from Nikola Vucevic. So all that being said, like, the Bulls played a solid game. They just didn't play a complete game because they had that blow up towards in the second half of the third quarter and the fourth quarter. We got outscored in the fourth quarter, 32-19. That's not going to cut it. A deficit like that, or a difference in scoring like that in the fourth quarter, could very well lose you the game, and it almost did in this game. So, I'm glad the Bulls were able to come out with a win, but key things they have to look at themselves and they have to figure out what's going on and fix certain things. But overall, I really did like the energy. It was nice having Javonte Green back, and overall, Zach LaVine, who came back a game early, who said that he doesn't like sitting back watching at home. And, he really was being precautious with that left knee in his comments. So, just saying that, he doesn't play when it comes to that left knee. He wants to be safe there. And that makes sense. But it was good to see him come back. DeMar DeRozan had a night off for rest. Much deserved night of rest for DeMar DeRozan. You have to also think, if DeMar is in this game, his ability to get to the free throw line maybe staves off some of that that run that the Bulls gave up to let the Thunder come back in this game. But overall, Bulls got the win. We needed this win. The Bulls are going into a softer part of their schedule here coming up. And, yes, we have Toronto coming up on Wednesday. Even though Toronto's record isn't the best, I still don't want to call that an easy game. DeMar being back for that game, it being in Toronto. Oh, no, I think that game's home. That game's home. We played DeMar's 2 previous team in the next 2 games, right? We have Toronto on Wednesday, San Antonio on Friday. We're at San Antonio. But then we got Portland, who's going to be missing Dame. We got Orlando again, which we lost to Orlando last time. The Bulls should be looking for some revenge there. Then we have Toronto again and Indiana before we have Philly and Phoenix on back-to-back games on the 6th and the 7th of February. So the Bulls, they have a softer schedule coming up. I would like to see them really, really get back in groove of things over the course of that. Hopefully we get Derrick Jones Jr. back over this stretch as well. We don't have any updates on Tyler Cook's injury. As soon as we do have one, I'll release a video to update you on what's going on with Tyler Cook. But overall, a win from our Bulls. A win is a win, and that's what we're going to boil down to. But keep in mind and look for trends, and hopefully this team gets those things together and tighten up those things of their game before we face better competition coming up. Because I'm telling you, those games against Philly is not nationally televised, but the game against Phoenix is on NBA TV, and then we have another ESPN game against the Charlotte Hornets, which I'm sure was originally chose to be televised because it was the Battle of the Ball Brothers. That won't happen in this one. But it'd be interesting to see what Ayo does with a player like LaMelo Ball. But that's all what's coming up for me. From the Bulls. And be tuned in for what's going on with the channel, what we'll be releasing from this channel. To do that, you need to make sure you hit that subscribe button, click the bell notification if you want to be notified as well anytime we do a new upload. You can make sure you're following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text or a voicemail to be played or read on the show, you can do that 773-270-2799. Like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.